Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? This is Alex from Crystal Sage Wisdom, and this is
Raw Flex 1776, baby. Stand up for your freedoms.
And guess what? Welcome to episode 17.
Welcome to episode 17. Yeah, I want the community. This is my message. Flex.
Okay, well, what are you wanting to flex?
I'm not saying muscles because I don't really have any muscles to flex. I would say is this is the time to rise to the occasion and whatever that means for you. And this is not the time to be playing race politics or shaming
she wants
politics.
to like dive right in. I was over here gonna go like this.
But before we dive into that, do you see we're in a secret location outside and clearly it's not Brooklyn?
Y mi gente, you hear that? There's actually a really nice wind.
Even though it's hot, but we're enjoying it. We're enjoying being sun-kissed. We're enjoying the vitamin D.
And we're enjoying breathing more. You know, there's something to be said. I think this is what I really wanted to touch upon before kind of diving into
The breath.
other stuff. Yeah, it's like not just breath, but what happens when you leave places like New York City. You know, we all know, especially if you're from there, and for those of you who may not know, if never lived there, because it's different when you're visiting versus when you live. Yes, it's exciting, right? It's like the city that never sleeps. It has so much diversity, so much to do, yummy restaurants. I mean, we could go down the list, right? But what it also has is an incredibly high-paced life, and it can be so incredibly dense. And then, of course, you cue in everything that the city has been dealing with all these years, on top of all the silent things like frequencies that are constantly bombarding us. You know what? When you leave New York City, I think that's when it truly hits you more than ever, just how much pollution and traumas our bodies are constantly navigating and dealing with on a day-to-day basis, family.
New York
like
City.
It's not like it's coming in little shorts, or that maybe when
It's
you
a
get
constant
home
thing.
it stops.
It's
like
a constant bombardment of
noise pollution because it's so loud.
so loud.
So much intensity that never stops.
Never stops. And people are more intense in ways that are compressing to the human spirit. And can you just see the joy in our faces naturally that we're not feeling that? And you know, we love New York. We love Brooklyn.
I mean, you know, that's our home. That's always going to be our hometown. So literally, we were made in Brooklyn, like literally. You know, maybe a little too TMI, but still, it's the fact.
That was a lot TMI.
It's still the fact.
Tell them the garden that's erected by where we were made.
It's one of those things like, you know, we've always recommended to people, and especially when we had our little shop, we would always say to people, make sure you take as many day trips out of the city as you can. If you can't go away for a full weekend, if you can't go on vacation, then go away for, even if it's just a day trip, a few hours, because it
Or
does
take the
so
train
much time, so much
to some
your,
place like Rockaway Beach.
Exactly, like just get
And you'll
out.
feel an energetic difference. I mean,
It's a lightness.
to be quite honest, like even going downtown in Brooklyn feels different than being within the vicinity of the Manhattan area, because that's where we're at. We're so close to Manhattan. And when we had our metaphysical shop, and we're there day to day, every day, focusing on being present, focusing on being grounded, because here, guess what? The minute we stepped into that space, whatever problems we were carrying, we really were trying not to bring it into the space, because we were there to support other human beings. So because of where the shop was located, we really did get to meet a lot of people just passing by, traveling, not just traveling from different aspects of the United States, but also international travelers that have become, to this day, friends of the Perez sisters. So shout out to you. You know who you are. Thank you so much for all of your support. And also thank you for all of the newcomers. Thank you for your comments. We read them. We appreciate them. We're trying our best to keep up with everything because life is crazy. Life is challenging.
A lot of hats, mi gente.
And the family life for us is getting a little crazy. Our mom is having really, really like hard health challenges. So please send a little prayer. It's just become like a full-time job, and that's kind of what's happening. A lot of people that we're talking to are having this hit them. There's a lot of health challenges within family dynamics, even more so, especially since the forced lockdown, pandemic, forced vaccinations. A lot of that has had so many different repercussions, and I'm not only talking about any effects that having the injection might have produced in somebody's body. I'm talking about the effects of just being grounded, locked down, as we've talked about it in a previous episode, which is, you know, so important. However you can, whatever you can do, even if it's just an hour, to go to a place, to go, well, I was gonna say go to a park,
which still can be helpful.
But-
Listen, a park for me and the piers.
but if
throughout
you're
the
in New York
years,
City, maybe going to a park might not be safe, because guess what? In Central Park, that might not be the safest
maybe
course.
not. You still have to be careful. But if all you have is a little walk, maybe take someone with you, and just you. I feel like anywhere in New York City now, anywhere you go, you just have to operate a lot more attentively. But the message of try to find little bits to get closer to nature or to break the rhythm that we get stuck in when we're in places that have such a high intensity in New York. And especially if you are blessed with the opportunity to just leave the city altogether and just center, take it, embrace it, and enjoy it without guilt. Like, give yourself, because that's the other thing, right? It's like sometimes us humans, we, even when we have opportunity or the means, we go there and we're still stressed. You know, like we're still not really allowing our, or giving somehow our body the permission to like genuinely
Right,
and
because how many
enjoy it,
people
you
go
know?
on a vacation guilty, and they fill it with so many activities.
And then you're exhausted.
Once I started learning that lesson, I remember I went to a trip where it was like you know how people do group trips, like to a specific location. So I'm purposely going to be vague, but it was on an island, and it had to do with scuba diving, and so everybody was getting up early to put on their gear and do scuba diving, and they were, you know, I had gear, but in order for me to participate, I had to get up so early. And at that point in my life, I was so tired with my full-time job that all I wanted was to be on that island. I wanted to just have an easy time. I wanted to be lazy. I wanted to just sleep in. And can I tell you, there was resistance, because the group that I was in was looking at me like, you're missing an opportunity. Like, you can get certified here and scuba dive with us and see the beautiful underground water. And I'm looking at them like, my body just can't do it.
You're like,
I get up early every day, and
you were like, I got an opportunity to sleep.
And yeah, and I understand, because then the other part was, but then why did you come to a scuba diving trip? I wanted to be on the island.
To relax.
To relax.
Well, you know what? Then that brings up a fantastic thing to consider, especially if you are traveling within group, is, you know, make sure that you guys are all, you know, really kind of sharing what your intentions are as a group. You know, is this going to be a pretty active getaway? Is this going to have a blended situation? Or are people just going to get there and everyone's going to do their own thing? You know, there's so many variations. And remember, it doesn't have to be one way. If you are alone or with a group, you can figure out how to, like, like balance it out. Maybe you'll accompany and do some things.
Compromise.
Right, and then you plug out, you unplug, which
Listen,
is
I
in
was
your every right to.
I was fine in that particular trip with missing out, but it did ruffle some feathers on the other side. And guess what, community members? Why? I could fill probably 13 volumes of encyclopedias sharing you stories about people getting triggered over decisions we made that had absolutely nothing to do with the other person in any regard, not their life, not their family, not anything. It's just like an upsetness, because you know what? We live in a society that's really anxious, and sometimes they don't know what to do with that anxiety. and they want to fixate and try to control the situation so that they can feel safe. And now we're in the present moment where we're trying, or certain people are trying to push a society onto the masses that simply does not work. The global population cannot acquiesce to a tiny, tiny percentage. And nobody is like, I'm not in her head and she's not in mine. We have different thoughts, different ways of looking at the world. Why can't that just be okay? And I gotta say that that's one of the reasons that we are motivated to share some of these videos, so that you can see, as some of you have already been in sharing with us, like, you see the differences between the sisters. We're not, God didn't make us two of the same.
He didn't make any one of the same.
No, he didn't make us to be
Nothing.
robots. He didn't make
None of
us
us
to be looking out there, looking like at fashion trends and, you know,
Copying.
you know how many times I
It's
look
like
at
we
a
just wanna be
celebrity
like carbon
and I think it's
copies
one
of each
person,
other.
but it's really another celebrity, because everybody's looking the same. Everybody's buns are looking the same. Everybody's boobs are looking the same. Everybody's hair is looking the same. Everybody's getting the same nose job, to the point that we've created a society that now you have, how young now are getting surgeries
Very
because
young.
they're not feeling comfortable with the way God made them.
And it's becoming normalized.
It's
too,
becoming
you know?
normalized.
Like
There's
that's
things
the
that I
new-
wish were different on my body, but I'm too nervous to go under any kind of knife. I don't even want a syringe near me.
Like, it's really sad to think that young girls are making such heavy choices to permanently alter
Yeah.
their physicality. Like, that's become such a normalized thing now. Like, obviously in our time, it was like, you know, you would never hear something like that. And if you did, it was like rare. So it's amazing how life has changed to degrees that it's almost like completely shocking, you know. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, that's the beauty of the diversity, you know, to sort of be in an environment, in a world. I mean, for example, like New York, take New York. Why have people always come to New York? Like, what has made New York the thing? Outside of, obviously,
With the exception of the current downfall.
right. But it's always been, well, New York is the melting pot of the world, right?
New York has a lot of spice
New York didn't get that reputation because everybody was a carbon copy of each other.
and a true diversity.
It had a true, in every capacity, the art scene, a little bit of everything. The people, different communities. The food, different foods. You know, the museums, different museums. The entertainment, different types of entertainment. The ways to make money, different ways to make money. Like, it's always been at the core of it, all about the beauty and diversity. You know, it was never at the core, everybody come here, we're gonna all eat the same thing, dress the same way, be the same way, make money the same way. Could you imagine? New York would have never been.
I know, like, what happened? Like, it's like in every corner of society, there's this compressive, energetic force that's utilizing people to usher in compliance. And we have a lot of what I forget his name. His name was Mark? I don't remember. He would call people order followers. I'm trying to remember his last name. It's not coming to me, but order. So I'm not coining. We didn't
Auto, you
coin
mean like
order
AUT?
followers.
Order
followers.
Yeah.
Right. Because think about it, when the pandemic 2.0 was approaching and we knew that we were about to go into lockdown, we were being vocal about it, and most of the community members in our lives were looking at us like, that's not gonna happen.
Just stop. Just
No
don't
one's
cause
ever gonna
problems.
lock us down. No, before that even happened. It was when the idea of it, because nobody could fathom that there is a system, a global system that's so cruel. But we were already connecting that was a big possibility. So it was interesting because right before the lockdown happened, I remember being around a group of activists and all of them were showing up their little mouths. Oh, hell no, that's not gonna happen on the mall watch. I'm not gonna comply. I'm not. Oh, everybody acquiesced. All of them, quiet. If anything, the most disappointing thing was that they became the biggest bullies.
Yeah.
They
That is-
became the biggest order followers.
That is sad. You know,
Embrace it. It's the
listen,
truth.
you're your
Don't
own-
hate us for pointing out the obvious.
you're your own individual, and if you want to be an order follower, you know, I'm sorry, that's where you want to be, but that's you in your life. However, I think the part that was the most frustrating is to see how then people who made a particular decision and wanted to impose or help impose, actually many people would take it upon themselves to help impose, you know, these orders that, if you really think about it, every day we're seeing how none of it made sense. There's now it's everything's coming out how it was all just, you know, people,
a big facade.
Yeah, all planned.
A big money grab.
None of it worked. You know, at the end of the day, the majority of everything that happened was more to our destruction than benefit. And that's coming out every day, mi gente. We don't even need to go down the list or give you the proof, because you're literally seeing the proof every single day.
Well, some people are. Some people are, because I forget the name of this woman. I should have had her name. But just a few weeks ago, she shared a message. We're in the 5th year of the pandemic, of the COVID-19 pandemic. And just today, I saw a little article saying COVID-19 cases, the highest. So whether it's monkeypox, bird flu, COVID-19, all of the above.
COVID 2005, you know.
People are smelling lockdown 2.0 coming up. And I don't think it's going to be the same if it happens. I don't want it to happen, but I can't be dumb and blind to not see the tea leaves, because like there is so much anger, especially with a certain group of people that keep protesting, and for some reason, like, it seems to be okay that they keep doing these peaceful protests that seem to deface property and destroy low-income communities. We saw that happen with the George Floyd riots, where we had people sliding into our DMs trying to shut us up, saying, stop. That's a form of activism. What? It's a form of activism that you have people rioting and destroying small businesses that belong to actual people of color, or destroying small businesses that people of color work in and depend in, or destroying small businesses that like a pharmacy or something that grandma needed to go to, and she's in a walker and she can't go to another one because another one does not exist in
Limited
her town.
Resources.
I mean, there are so many stories out there. Look them up.
And they're continuing, because obviously that created a big created big domino effect even to today. I mean, there's communities where you have, for example, pharmacies like the Wayne Reed closing down. And if you live in those communities, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? And yeah, maybe if you're younger and a little bit more capable, you may not think, oh, that's not a big deal. Maybe I'll drive to the other town, or maybe I'll just do online. But what if you're that elder who can't, who's a lot more mobile, or who doesn't know how to mess around with you know, more modern ways of getting stuff? Because let's be really honest, another thing we've done really bad in this country is really take care of our elders. You know, so
well, we were taking care of them during COVID.
They have been a population.
This is why we did all of those masking and locking down.
This has been a population that was already very ignored, very not taken care of, where they were given minimal resources. And yeah, once lockdown came down, they were also one of the most vulnerable, and some of the people that died in bigger numbers and probably could have been avoided as well. But anyway, a story to focus on another day.
You opened that door, and I'm going to say it because this was one of my most upsetting moments about the whole thing, about the whole virtual signaling of the pandemic 2.0, because at least the children, they suffered, but so many of them are resilient. The elders didn't have that resiliency, and a lot of adults hid behind the excuse, I'm not going to visit grandma or grandpa because we don't want to contaminate them. I don't want to talk to you because you may contaminate my grandma if I go to see her later. No, all of this fake virtual signaling and fake caring, and all of these people just died in great numbers because we, the people in between, the children and the elders, we became order followers. I don't think we have an opportunity to become order followers again, because that could mean the complete destruction of the United States of America. I'm not exaggerating. A lot of people are even dreaming this, that have nothing to do and they don't even pay attention to politics. They are just dreaming destruction.
Well, because our country has been
And
destroyed from
part
the
of
inside
it
out.
is we don't
little by
even know
little.
how to speak to one another.
We're not speaking to each other.
We just know how to
Everyone's caught up in their
condemn.
polarized
Oh,
little
I
corner.
see. You're talking to the wealthy people again, the colonizers. Okay, good. Talk to me when you decide to go back to the people. Guess what? Guess what? A lot of people ate the juice that we, the people communities, were selling to you. And what happened? All these millions of people have crossed over illegally, and all of our resources, too many of them that should go to the people who are here living, the veterans, people who need a little bit more assistance. Everybody's getting overwhelmed. And it's millions and millions of people. It's not thousands, it's not 10,000, it's not 50. New York City alone has welcomed over 200,000 migrants, and they're still coming. And every day in New York City, you hear more and more horrifying stories. If you don't believe us and you want to catch up with all of the horrors of New York, we recommend going to watch Cash Jordan and all of his episodes, because he has a really unique insight. I believe he's in the real estate market, or I'm not sure, but he really understands from his perspective, and he's boots on the ground. And the last report he was talking about is how Starbucks are leaving New York City. And one of the points he made was, if Starbucks is having a hard time
not all
existing,
Starbucks,
not all Starbucks, but if
major locations.
if they can't even make it, what about small mom and pops? What does that say for the regular common person? You know, like last week I saw eggs at $12 for a dozen, $12.99 for a dozen eggs. I don't eat eggs today.
You know, why is she so hostile? Because
it's also hot.
Because it's been very long years of witnessing the absolute destabilization of not just just take it in peace, the country, the states, the cities, the towns, the communities, the family, everything. And witnessing certain more vulnerable populations getting, I would say, some of the worst side effects, if you will, of this, not just pandemic, because it's bigger than the pandemic. It's just everything that's happening, affecting life as we know it altogether. But to your point, our elders, and I'm gonna add the children, because even if the children wasn't affected physically,
they got affected in dire ways.
I feel like the children, there are many children that were scarred in ways that can't be undone.
And we lost a lot of them.
Our elders were older, you know, and unfortunately vulnerable.
A lot of them died by themselves.
Vulnerable in more of a physical way, and also very vulnerable emotionally, because again, like to your point, they were a lot of them were put in very horrible, lonely scenarios that, you know, you when you're understanding what's happening and why it's happening, and you're seeing constant story, and not just on TV, mi gente. Remember, we had a shop, we were seeing these stories by people coming in, sharing their life day to day. On top of it, we were activists, so we were also seeing it on the ground. So,
and then specifically, I was a healthy living consultant in a senior center for 8 years.
So you're seeing
this is not coming from someone who's just reporting things that we just see reported on the news. No, people are telling us. It's a multi-layered kind of reporting that we're doing here.
So, you know, all these years,
it makes me so
from
hot.
So many angles, it's been, I don't even know what's a strong enough word to describe how awful it has been to see sort of like the breakdown of humanity. I would say the most, the breakdown of the kindness and compassion and humanity. To see people that maybe I looked with a lot of inspiration and regard to see them behave in ways that, just destroy. You know how they say never meet your hero type of thing. Like, ¿qué pasó? It's not. None of these topics are light, and they may seem overwhelming. And they, again, we always like to remind you, it may seem like they're not connected, but they are. Everything's a web. We're under this web, and all these things are happening and purposely being destabilized at the same time. This is why, when we wonder why is there a chronic mental health crisis in this country, this is a major reason, because all of the fabric of our life has been being fucked with and being destabilized for years now.
And then the
what
messaging has
also
also been very controlled. No, you can't say that. You just said something that triggered me. So then I just stopped I just stopped whatever she was trying to say.
People don't want to listen. A lot of people, and not everybody, mi gente, because there's a lot of excellent people that have been just trying to live their best life.
Shout out to all of you.
Trying to do their part from their angle of the country or the world. And God bless you all, because we need it. And we've always said we're living in a time where we need all hands on deck. I don't care.
And every type of personality, from soft to hard, stop banging the table.
I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are, what your background is. We need you. We need you to be able to step up and be willing to support your life, your community, your family. And by saying that, I mean, you got to find the way that you feel you can contribute. But we are kind of in a 911 situation now. We can't just sit idly by and order follow, like she was saying, or ignore, or for those that like to say, I'm not into politics. I'm sorry.
Every single thing is politics.
Every aspect of your life is politics.
Every aspect.
Stop using things like that to
I tried
hide.
that one time and an elder schooled me, so I'm just returning the wisdom.
Right. It's like
I'm paying it forward.
When someone, like...
I was there, mi gente.
Unshield your eyes and you're like, oh,
I was like, I'm not into politics.
All along they were right.
Let me just tell you, I'm not into politics. And the elder was like, you got to be locally involved. And after that elder done break it down to me, guess what I had to do? Take it in, contemplate. Yeah, at first you're resistant, because who's not going to be resistant to hearing a message that opposes whatever you're currently thinking is your correct framework? Mm-hmm. And it's a healthy thing to allow more input to come in when you're ready, because that's the other part. When you're ready, but we're kind of telling you that we don't have too much time for the be ready, because a lot of people were so distracted that they didn't see pandemic 1.0 happen. Mm-hmm. And many of us saw it, and there were people calling this out even years earlier.
Well, what are you seeing right now that's helping you to see that they're setting us up for another one?
Well, even my dreams are telling me that something's gonna happen that's gonna halt everything. It's gonna happen abruptly. Many of us feel that there may not be an election, or it may not happen. It may not happen on time. There is such an eruption of violence. Look, I understand that people are passionate about things that are happening outside this country, but I gotta tell you, it is imperative to focus on what's happening here.
In your own backyard.
In your own backyard.
Well, some things I'm seeing that make me already start to see that it seems like a cookie cutter of what happened last time. Mm-hmm. Is just look at the news, mi gente. Mm-hmm. To see constant, all of a sudden, reports around, the cases of such and such are rising. Wasn't that the same thing they did last time? They
declared an Mpox emergency, so monkeypox wasn't flying, so now it's Mpox. They gave it a different name. And so the things
to ask is, where are they getting these numbers from? Okay, they're rising. Where are they rising? And by rising, what do you mean? In the hospital, in that community? Rising because they're positive, or rising, like what? There's so many ways that that numbers can be broken down. And you
mess
can't
with.
you can't just take like something, for face value as, oh my God, they're rising. No, okay, try to dig in a little bit. Like, what does that mean? But anyway, you're seeing a lot of that happening. You're seeing all of this like little by little fear mongering beginning to happen, right? To the point that lately I've been seeing in the trains even more people covering up. It's every single time
Free
they
your
start to
mouths.
like they start to cover up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm afraid to be around
Breathe.
people. They're already
The goodness of life.
beginning to
Breathe
kind
God
of
into your environment.
focus around. They're already kind of trying to focus around
That information.
reminding you that there is an international emergency. Remember the last time? That was another issue.
And we care about you so much that I think we're going to have to ramp up the surveillance. Oh, that sounds like we may have another push for a digital vaccination ID system or like vax cards.
Well, even before you go there, that's another point. Now we're hearing a lot about vaccines again.
Oh yeah.
So again,
Well,
I'm trying to focus on the things that
the United States has bought a large amount of Mpox vaccines.
And remember, in the first round, that was what was happening already. So that's what I'm trying to focus on what are the things that seem to be the same from that last time. That literally it's like all they have to do is erase the dates and basically leave the article the same, change the wording. But yes, to my sister's point in terms of what she's mentioning, is almost like, all right, here are the same things that they started with last time, but now they're escalating it. Because you know what happened last time? Last time was their it was like their test journey. So now they have information, but so they know how to kind of redo it with added
Will you comply?
Perspectives. But the important thing to remember, family, is that this time, us too, we went through it. So we learned a thing or two. So whether you complied last time, whether or not you were an order follower, whether or not you did not comply and you did everything in your power to be like, fuck to the no, this time around, no matter who you are in between that spectrum, you too went through it. So you know what that means? We have information, we have experience. So this
what are you
going to
do with that information?
This time around, none of us are starting from square one. So we're not in that helpless, we can't hide behind, oh my God, I'm so afraid what's going to happen. No. Now we actually do have some information. We actually do have some understanding of how things unravel because we've lived a version of it, And guess what? What you did in the past does not have to be how you move this time around.
Nope, it doesn't have to be. And one of the things that I want to just mention there too is that even if you accepted the jab, and let's just say you don't want one, you're considered an anti-vaxxer. So welcome to the club. What are you going to do about it? Because that is also an insult to everybody. They're just it's almost like people are getting scarlet lettered and we're going along with it because hey, those people are worse than we are, and what we're asking is look at the mirror and look at who the tribe is. Look at what they're saying. It is a destabilizing, heartbreaking thing when you realize that people you have supported your whole lives, as we have, are some of your biggest enemies, and they do it with a smile, and some of them do it with a cackle. I wanted to jump into,
you know what, mi gente, we got to start wrapping up, but as we're beginning a new week, there's the DNC convention starting today. It's gonna probably be a very colorful week and colorful few weeks and couple months. We just want to say, as we always say to the family, please do not get lost in the sauce, okay? Like, make sure that you are prioritizing what's important for you, that we are working to move in a different way, and hopefully that's going to mean together as a community. And not against each other.
And it's okay to have different ideas within that community, but let's do it together and leave the fighting towards the fucking demons that are playing this divide and conquer
They're doing the
tactics on
puppeteers.
every single side, yet they're living large in their comfy environments in gated communities and with all of the monies. And I'm not talking about wealth. I'm talking about the power players that nobody really knows, who are weaving and puppeting us, and we don't even know.
And this is why we gotta stick together.
That's right, mi gente. Let's stick
Moving
together.
forward for health, wholeness, freedom, safety, for a fantastic quality of life, because we all deserve it. We need it. And, you know, just that sister reminders and love for you all. I know none of these topics are fun, but they are our reality and we can't ignore it, you know. But, you know, to try
I gotta
end,
wrap up.
Ooh, you lost your thing. To end on a positive note, once again, gracias for all of you who are liking and commenting. Por favor, if you haven't already, subscribe. Friendly reminder that it's so helpful for us when you like, comment, or subscribe. It does energize our platforms and it helps to reach other people. And, you know, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow the community, have our messages reach more people, because we are definitely pro let's work together as a community in helping to support ourselves and our country. Pero as we are wrapping up our beautiful time away from home, we're gonna go out to rest and relax a little bit. We just want to say thank you again for spending your time with us. Stay safe, stay grounded, and we'll see you soon, mi gente.